Ok, muy bien. Hola, buenos días, buenos días. Muy buenos días. ¡Wow! Está lloviendo en mi casa. Está lloviendo en Scottsdale también.
Sí, está brillando en mi caso.
Magnífico. Eso me gusta. Ok. La lluvia es maravillosa para mis cactus, para los árboles, para todo. Bien.
Mi árbol nuevo, mi árbol de naranjas.
¡Oh!
Uno nuevo
Es, es,
árbol.
es un árbol pequeño o bastante.
Cuatro,
¡Oh! ¡Oh! De tamaño así. ¡Ah! ¡Qué magnífico! Mi árbol de naranjas, tengo un árbol, es un pobre árbol, no está en buena condición, pero, pero está al punto de florecer.
oh,
Está al
oh,
punto de florecer. Y a mí me encanta cómo huelen, sí, las flores
sí.
de los naranjos. So the orange tree is called naranjo.
Oh, with an O at the end. Oh,
Y
naranjo.
naranja es la fruta.
Yes, okay, naranjo.
Es así con manzanas también. Manzano es un árbol que produce manzanas.
Sí,
Es así.
sí, sí.
I don't think all fruit trees are named that way, but some are. Algunos sí.
Sí, sí.
Bien. Y gracias, Marcos. Thank you, Marcos, for your uh, por for your little picture you sent me on the use of por in a program description. I love to see those little things that you pick up here and there. That's great.
Uh,
Uh, Marcos.
acabamos de terminar el grupo conversación.
Bien, sí.
Y tenemos una pregunta
Perfecto.
por y para.
Ok. Bien.
Um,
Dime.
we had a lot of sentences in which we were using for. And what came up most and what we couldn't figure out is the homework is for Monday. The commercial is for Babel. The price is, well, not the price, we get that one. But when it's just for something, is it para or por?
Oh, that's not enough context for me to know.
Okay.
I hate to say. Okay. Um,
Well, like
if you
the homework is for Monday.
okay, para.
Para.
La tarea es para lunes. Mi informe, my report, mi informe es para lunes. My report is for Monday. Uh, uh, mi reunión es para martes. My meeting is for
Or
Tuesday. Okay. So when it's deadline with time, it's para.
all right. Then the other one was we're talking about the commercial where the woman says she's pregnant in Spanish. She's saying she's embarrassed, but she's saying, and the commercial is for Babel. So it's for the commercial is for Babel.
Oh, el app. The app
Uh,
es para.
it's a TV commercial in which it's a commercial for Babel in which a woman is speaking in Spanish to her friends, and she says she's embarrassed, embarazado, which means pregnant, correct? Which
Yeah.
she was embarrassed for being late. But we're trying to say the commercial is for Babel.
Para.
It's still
Para.
para. Still
Sí.
para.
Uh, when, okay. Okay. Tengo un ejemplo, como por ejemplo, uh, mi, mi hija, mi hija tiene un nuevo empleo. My daughter has a new job. Okay. Ella trabaja para una compañía que se llama Surgenex. Trabaja para Surgenex. She works for Surgenex. Pero, otro ejemplo, hablando del trabajo, pero otro contexto es, mi hija trabajó anoche horas extras. Ella trabajó 3 horas extras anoche por su compañera. She worked 3 extra hours in place of her
Company. Ooh.
in place of her coworker. Sí, su colega. Trabaja por su colega. She worked, ella trabajó 3 horas extras por su colega. She worked 3 hours overtime in place of her colleague who could not stay and get her work done. Okay. Pero ella trabaja para whoever pays your paycheck. That's para. You work for them. Yeah. Because the fruits of your labor go to that place.
Okay.
I guess that's how I would explain that. Sí, por eso. Okay. Bien. Por and para can be quite complicated in a way. I think it is harder to get a knack for than ser estar. Para mí, por y para es un asunto más, un tema más complicado que ser estar. Después de un rato, cuando practicamos con ser, estar, las diferencias son más obvias, pero con por y para es difícil. I think por y para are harder. And I think that's because it goes back to things that are very deeply rooted in Latin, stuff that came in from Latin. And then you've got those sayings that just are por or just are para, and there's no reason for them. They just are, you know. Por ejemplo is just por ejemplo, por favor is just por favor. Así es, so it is. Bien. Okay. Otra pregunta. Hay otra pregunta. Is there any other stray question from practice there, Diana? Okay.
Sí. Tenemos una clase el miércoles or los miércoles next session.
Sí.
Próximo session.
Oh.
Did our class make?
Nuestra clase, our class here at this time.
Sí.
En este tiempo. Sí, la semana que viene. Sí.
Oh, with Scottsdale, everything worked out.
Oh, sí, okay.
Scottsdale.
Oh, la clase oficial.
Yeah, oficial, sí.
Y me van a pagar. Y ellos me van a pagar por las clases. They're going to pay me for. Sí, yes, that is a go. That is a go. It is green lighted. Yeah, I've only got, actually, I've even got a beginner class that's like too shy of going. And I'm a little bit surprised because usually when snowbird time is done, that folds up and usually people don't sign up for summer, which is okay, but that might even go. So, yeah, I've got only really one class that might not go. So it's, yeah, this is booked. It's good. See, yeah, it'll be official as of, I think it's the first week of April that starts, but I have to print out the time roster yet. And that has not been printed for me. So I'll get that done. Sí, gracias. Gracias. Yeah. So that's good. But that gives some people who don't, also that gives people who don't want to do a night class a daytime option, which is really good because some people absolutely want nighttime. They work during the day and other people don't want nighttime come hell or high water. They are falling asleep. They're like 7:30. I don't want to have to think. I can't blame anybody. Okay. Bien. Bueno, Nora, Tuviste una pregunta. You had a question that you guys had on the Frida Kahlo.
Just the beginning, all those different hizos and
Do you want me to play the segment so that we can
the first
stop?
couple of minutes, maybe?
Okay.
Just,
Vale. Bien. I had that pulled up and ready to go.
I understood the gist of it all, but just.
And I was listening to part of that to try to kind of anticipate. And then I saw, I bet this is where her questions are. Okay. There are, and I played this mainly, or I gave this to you guys mainly because it's the last in the series.
Sure.
And if you're starting the series, you may as well finish the series.
I agree. Me acuerdo.
Pero, ¿estás de acuerdo? ¿Estás de acuerdo? Ok. Pero, la dificultad es que hay muchas estructuras en este último video. Hay muchas estructuras difíciles. There are a lot of tough structures here, and you're going to start to see where they go. And don't force yourself to say, I have to know how to form these. Just, okay. I'll kind of explain where they're going. So we're going to take a look at this. Ooh, momentito. I got to make sure I've got my sound on. Yeah, sí. Okay. El sonido, sí. Okay. And let me go. No, I guess she didn't make much of an intro here.
Yeah, que todas
and I've got our subtitles on.
Personas.
And Frida wanted all people
Fueran iguales.
Here's the tough part. Fueran iguales. Wow. Fueran looks awfully close to fueron, doesn't it? And it does come from fueron, but fueran, and es muy, wow, es sutil. This is really subtle. Fueran is a verb form that comes from fueron with an O-N at the end. It comes from that. Fueran is a past subjunctive. So if it had been quiere, she wants that all people are equal. It would be quiere que todas las personas sean iguales. But if you want to use querían, she wanted that all people should be equal. I've got to use a past subjunctive. So fueran is past subjunctive.
Okay.
She wanted all people to be equal, the same. Okay. You're going to see some past subjunctive. You don't need to know how to form it. Just know that it's because when I want that somebody else does something, that second half has to be subjunctive. So this, because it's quería, the past of querer, it's got to be not present subjunctive, but past, which I will be honest with you is a very, very tricky thing to form. And I would say, don't go there for now.
Perfect.
Just know that it's there. Okay.
Que todas las personas tuvieran la misma cantidad de dinero.
She wanted all people should have the same, or should have had the same amount of money. And tuvieran with an an at the end comes from tuvieron with an O-N at the end. Again, it's a past subjunctive. She wanted that all people should have the same amount of money.
Frida quería que no hubiera gente millonaria.
She wanted that there wouldn't be, and that hubiera comes from haber, that she wanted that there shouldn't be millionaire folk.
Okay.
Shouldn't be millionaire. There should not be a millionaire class. Okay.
And that's subjunctive too.
That's subjunctive too. Okay. And all of those are subjunctive because she wanted that this should happen. And when I'm pegging that to a different subject in the second half of the sentence is a subjunctive clause. Okay,
Okay.
I'll let her roll a little
Pero
bit.
Frida también quería que no hubiera gente pobre.
But she also wanted that there shouldn't be poor people.
Así es, Frida era comunista.
Ah, sí, Frida
Hoy
era comunista,
se
and that, esto sí es obvio. She
Dijo
was a communist, era
¿Qué
comunista.
es eso?
And what does that mean? Sí, bien.
Okay.
Hay otra pregunta. Do you need me to do a rundown on anything else through that or no?
Go with just a couple of more sentences. It seems
Okay.
like there were some ezos
Because
and ubos and just-
there are some. And so anytime you hear an hubiera, just think past, think had or there was, because hubiera is used in a couple of it can be used in the impersonal sense, which is like that word I, or it
Okay.
can be used with a past participle to make.
If it's subjunctive, just say subjunctive, you know, I don't,
Okay,
I know that's beyond us right now.
perfecto, perfecto. Oh, momentito. Okay, bien.
Así es como lo escuchaste.
Like you heard,
Frida Kahlo era comunista.
she was a communist.
Frida pensaba
She used
que
to think
todas las personas
that all
debían
people
ser iguales
should be
económicamente.
equal
Esa
economically.
Es la idea,
And this is
la
the idea
idea
of
principal del comunismo.
the principle of
ejemplo,
communism.
Si una persona tiene 3 bolsas de
Oh,
dinero
that's okay. You can stop it.
y
Yeah,
una persona
this gets a little pedantic. Yeah, she's
don't worry
explaining
about
what does communism mean, and she's trying to do it in a very see, she was trying to do it in a very elementary kind of
Sure.
explanation so that she didn't have to actually revert to English. Okay, vale, see? Bien. Okay, so anytime you hear an hubiera, it's part of a subjunctive, and it's
Okay.
had, but it's, yeah. If I want my husband to clean up his mess, if he wants me to clean up my mess, then that second half belongs to what you want somebody else to do. So just like that subjunctive happens in present, the subjunctive also happens in the past. But the only thing I will tell you is that past subjunctive is going to look a lot like preterite.
Okay.
And past subjunctive, not present, past subjunctive is based on the ellos form. Why? Porque no sé. It's based on the ellos form in pretérito. So the reason past subjunctive is difficult for English learners to use is that all those oddball, hard, irregulars you have in preterite, they come back with a vicious revenge into past subjunctive. So you have to know all the oddball, irregular preterites really well to use past subjunctive. Not as bad when you're hearing it, difficult when you're speaking it, because when you're speaking it now, you got to actually plug that in and know the
Right.
form. So I think it's a little early for us to go there.
Oh,
to give
yeah.
to
Don't
give
go
you an
there.
idea, students that I had didn't learn past subjunctive until their 4th year. And boy, I'll tell you, they had to know it to pass the AP tests.
Oh,
They to pass the college tests, they had to learn it and know it quite well, because they would on purpose like stuff huge amounts of it into the tests just because. And yeah. And really disproportionately, the test would disproportionately put past subjunctive in. So instead of saying in a real conversation, people will use present subjunctive a lot and maybe past tenses a lot. They would flop in all the hardest concepts into that test. I don't know why they did that, but they did. Even more so than you would hear in a regular conversation. Because they can. Let's put the hardest stuff on the test. I'm sure they do the same thing with calculus when they test things like that. Okay. Bien. Vamos. Uy. Oh, and I got to get to the right part of my. Okay, I'm going to take that off my list. I had a whole list of things, questions that I know people had asked about. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I did give you the item on the talking about Canada and right. See, and that was a really long one to listen to. So I didn't want to overload you on anything much else beyond that. ¿Hay alguna pregunta de eso? Any other question about that? Sí o no? Hay muchos mexicanos. Hay más mexicanos hoy en día que van también a Canadá para estudiar, para trabajar. Hay una gran cantidad. Y esta chica, Andrea la mexicana, Andrea a la izquierda, Andrea es estudiante. Ella es actriz y estudia teatro en Canadá. Y ella enseña también, ella enseña clases de inglés clases de español a los canadienses que quieren aprender español. Bueno, ok. A ver. Ok. Otra cosita de Frida. Hay otra cosita de Frida. Bueno, hablaban en el vídeo del hecho de que Frida era comunista y que ella tenía muchos amigos de ay, a ver, un momentito. En el movimiento político del comunismo, bien, pero también deben saber que ella pintó un autorretrato. Un autorretrato es una pintura de sí misma, ¿sí? Of herself. Ok, ella pintó esta pintura que es un autorretrato, a self-portrait, para su amante, for her lover, para su amante de como 3 meses, porque un amante de Frida era Leon Trotsky, un comunista muy famoso. Leon Trotsky era un comunista muy famoso, pero expulsado de Rusia por Stalin. Cuando Stalin tomó poder del Partido Comunista en Rusia, expulsó a Leon Trotsky, su rival. Y Trotsky se fue a México.
Oh,
Bien. Y se fue a México. Diego Rivera invitó a Leon Trotsky a vivir en su casa,
oh.
en la Casa Azul, en la famosa Casa Azul de Frida. Y mientras Trotsky vivía en la Casa Azul, Frida y Trotsky se convirtieron en amantes, pero el amorío duró solamente como 3 meses o 4 meses, algo así. Y durante esa época, Frida pintó este autorretrato y tiene una cartita con una dedicación, y la carta dice que esta pintura está dedicada a su amante, Leon.
Mm.
Ok, y no puedo leer la carta porque la letra está tan chiquitita, pero la parte interesante que durante, bueno, no, esto no pasó en la Casa Azul. Ok, después de unos meses, alguien, el Partido Comunista de Rusia, ¿sí? Contrató a un mexicano para asesinar, matar a Leon Trotsky en México.
Oh.
Este hábito de los rusos de matar a sus rivales en otros países, como en Inglaterra, como en muchos países, sí, siempre pasaba, was always happening, siempre pasaba. Y mataron a Leon Trotsky con un pica-hiel.
Oh.
Sí, el asesino, the assassin, mató a Leon Trotsky con un pica-hielo, with an ice pick. ¡Ah! Y a la chica en el video no les dijo nada
No.
del asesino de Trotsky en México. Un hecho muy sangriente. Wow, really bloody thing. Okay. Y así era. Okay.
How long was that before Frida died?
No
sé.
No sé exactamente. Quizás en el año 1941, 1942, algo así. Sí. Trotsky no se quedó mucho tiempo en México. Quedó quizás un año. Se quedó, creo, un año en México. Pero el hábito de los rusos de matar a sus rivales sí, es una cosa de casi siempre, sí. Ok. Bueno.
Se quedó is stayed.
Se quedó, he stayed. Se quedó en México, sí. Ok. Y Diego Rivera y Frida Kahlo, ellos contrataron a guardias con rifles, con armas para guardar la casa. pero eso no ayudaba tanto. It didn't help that much. Bien, porque el asesino todavía entró en la casa y ¡pum! Boom, 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 ¿sí? Ok. Tengo otra historia, una historia mía, y es una historia de... Es mi queja, es la queja que tengo con mi vecina a la izquierda. ¿Para qué? ¿Para qué? So that, para que ustedes puedan ver los problemas que tengo con mi vecina al lado de mi casa. Bien, ok. Ayer, antes de la lluvia, ¿no? Bueno, yo aproveché del buen tiempo. I took advantage of the good weather, sí. Yo aproveché del buen tiempo ayer, antes de la lluvia, para quitar la maleza. Maleza es weeds. Me aproveché del buen tiempo para quitar la maleza en mi jardín. Ok. Lo que hice yo ayer en mi jardín fue esto. Quité una gran cantidad de maleza. Bien. Y tenía que excavar mucho. I had to dig, ¿sí? Ok. Quité la peor maleza, the worst weeding, ¿sí? Aquí, ¿ok? Todavía tengo que quitar esa maleza en el jardín detrás de mi casa, ¿sí?
Sí.
Todavía tengo que hacer eso. Lo que hice ayer fue esta parte al lado de mi casa y hice mucho, quité mucha maleza. Bueno, todavía tengo que hacer esto, pero lo que se queda, what remains, what is staying, lo que se queda es la maleza que está en el jardín de mi vecina.
Oh,
Es esta, ¿sí? De tamaño así, ¿sí? Es la maleza, weeds, es la maleza de mi vecina, ¿sí? Al lado de mi casa. Y aquí está el árbol muerto.
oh.
Aquí está el árbol. Pueden ver el tamaño del árbol muerto y también que ella pintó la mitad de su casa, pero no pintó la otra mitad. She painted half her house, but not the other half. ¿Y por qué? Porque tiene la casa gris, ok, bien, todo bien, pero aquí la parte de arriba no pintó la parte de arriba. ¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué? Y no sé, y no hay ninguna razón para pintar la casa así, ¿sí? Pero no está pintado allá arriba. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? No entiendo.
Wait. What's the word for ladder?
Escalera. No tiene escalera.
Tu escalera tan bajo.
Bueno, sí, pero sí, quizás, sí, pero qué lío, sí, es muy feo. Todo
Yeah.
está muy feo. Todo está
Sí.
muy feo y cae la maleza aquí y todas las semillas están viendo, están soplando en mi jardín. Es gay, pero quité mucho. Ok. Qué lío.
Pobre Marilyn.
Ella no, sí, ella no hace nada con su jardín. No entiendo.
Su vecina está es enferma o peligrosa.
Buena pregunta. Ella no es muy joven, sí, está jubilada. ¿Es mayor que yo? Bueno, pero siempre está fumando. Siempre la veo todos los días fumando, caminando por la parte enfrente de su casa, fumando y mirando lo que pasa con todos los vecinos. Es una locura, sí. Creo que ella va a quitar la maleza quizás en junio o mayo. Y una vez al año, ella quita la maleza. Ok. No lo entiendo. Ok. Muy bien. Bueno. Vamos a ver. Ok. Estoy leyendo mis notas aquí. Ok.
Necesita llamar
Oh,
una
sí.
iglesia y ask. It's not to preguntar. That's
Es pedir,
that's to
ask
ask.
for,
Yeah.
y les piden sí.
Ayuda.
Sí. Sí. No sé por qué ella no pide ayuda. No sé por qué ella no pide ayuda a alguien, ¿sí? Yo tengo escalera que ella puede. Yo le puedo prestar mi escalera. Yo le puedo prestar herramientas, tools, pero ella no me pide nada. No sé por qué. Ok. Bien, así es. So it is. Okay. Vamos a hablar un poquito. I thought we would talk a little bit about this difference between qué y cuál. Qué y cuál. Y es preferible empezar con un video para ver ejemplos concretos. Primero, ¿qué y cuál es? No es tan difícil como por y para. No. ¿Y qué y cuál? Pero sí es difícil porque aprendemos que la definición de qué es what. Y aprendemos que la definición de cuál es which. Pero de veras no es así exactamente. Y la dificultad queda en inglés. The difficulty is really in English. In English, sometimes we use which, and cuál won't really be a good translation, or what and que won't be a good translation. The difficulty with que and cuál really lays with what we do in English, rather than learning a lot of rules, to be honest. Es lo que pasa. Okay, a ver, momentito, vamos a ver. So we're going to take a look at our easiest introduction here. And there will be fine points where if you mess up with que and cuál, it's not the end of the world. Okay? So I could say no pasa nada. It's not a big deal. No pasa nada. Nothing happens, meaning it's not a big deal. But it helps to know because it sounds a little off to them, but it doesn't create like a huge confusion like por and para could. Okay. Pero vale la pena saber un poquito de qué y cuál because it does sound a little off to them if we misuse it. So we're going to take a look.
Y cuál. Now, at times, these can both be translated to what in English. First, I'll give you some examples to see if you can figure out how to use which. Make sure to check the word bank if you aren't sure about a word. ¿Qué es una quinceañera?
Que es una quinceañera. Quinceañera is the 15-year-old celebration, right? Sí. Quinceañera. ¿Qué es una quinceañera? What's a quinceañera? Okay.
¿Cuál es tu opinión?
So we would translate the first question as, what's a quinceañera? We would translate in English, number 2, as, what's your opinion? Or what do you think? Okay.
¿Qué te dieron tus padres para tu cumpleaños?
We would translate number 3 as, what did your parents give you? Te dieron tus padres. What did your parents give to you for your birthday? Para tu cumpleaños, for your birthday.
¿Qué comiste ayer?
What did you eat yesterday?
¿Cuáles son tus películas favoritas?
What are your favorite movies? And notice everything is really what. So even though in Spanish, this means cuál, when you look it up in a dictionary, it's going to say which. So in English, we would use what there. In English, we would say, what are your favorite movies?
¿Qué cosas te hacen reír?
What things make you laugh?
¿Qué casa es la tuya?
What house or which house? Oh, we would probably say, which house is yours? We would say, which house is yours? But strictly speaking, cuál is not the better choice. I'm going to say for this number 7, you might, in point of fact, hear some Latin Americans in particular use cuál here in number 7. You might. Especially in Latin America, for this number 7, some Latin Americans might, especially Venezuela, I want to say maybe Colombia, you might hear some people from there saying cuál casa. But que is really, for the grammar Nazis, it's the que is strictly speaking the proper way to do that.
¿Cuál de los dos prefieres? ¿Coca-Cola o Pepsi?
Which of the two do you prefer, Coke or Pepsi? And yeah, we'd probably use which there because you're picking from a group of 2, right?
¿Qué estás haciendo?
What are you doing? But look, in all of these, yeah, sometimes what we do in English doesn't match up with how you first learn that word, yeah? Which house is yours? You would think cuál is, but really que is strictly speaking the proper thing to use there. And here we would say, what are your favorite movies? But we never hear in number 5 would you hear que here. Never in number 5 would you hear que, even though we in English say, what are your favorite movies? The problem is in that in English, we use different words and Spanish is
Qué
governed by
buenas
different
son las
countries.
vacaciones.
How good
Could you figure
vacation
out more
is.
or less how to use both of them? Well, we use cuál in 2, 5 y 8. As you can see, we often use cuál when there is more than one choice. Even though
Okay, so this is the first take on cuál. Use cuál when we've got more than one choice, when we've got a group of things we can pick from. The problem with this comes in that when you say in English, what's your opinion? You don't think of that as a choice out of many things, but it is in their way of thinking. So in other words, they have a different way of thinking of this. Okay. In number 5, what are your favorite movies? Out of all the possible movies, that's definitely seen as a choice. Out of all the movies that have ever been made, which ones are your favorites? It's a choice out of a larger group of items. It is a choice, especially with number 5, número 5. It's a choice out of a homogeneous group of things. If we look at the category of things that are movies, películas, you're picking one out of the hat. So you're picking out of all the things that come into this classification of what we call movies. Okay? Bien? 8 might be a little more obvious because I'm giving you a choice between 2 things here. Yeah? And you're choosing one or the other. That one maybe is a little more obvious. It should be cuál. Which of the 2 do you prefer? Because that's a super obvious choice. But this whole thing of what's your favorite movie, that thing of using películas, movies, it is a genre. And that is a homogeneous group of entertainment things, right? That you're picking one out of the
in
group.
English we might say, what is your opinion? We still use cuál in Spanish because it's showing a choice of opinions. You might have noticed in some of the examples that we can also say cuáles when we assume the answer is more than one thing.
Okay, so remember that número 5, ¿cuáles son tus películas favoritas? We've got a plural form of cuál, which is cuáles, and it never goes into a feminine form. It's always either cuál or cuáles, yeah. Que does not get a plural form. It's just always que, right? Okay, so, bien.
So, cuál or cuáles are basically used to show a choice among more than one thing. If only it were easy. But we also have the word que show up in quite a few sentences too. We use que to ask about a definition or an explanation. Simply,
And this is the best thing to go by. ¿Qué es una quinceañera? Is asking, oh, I don't know what a quinceañera is. That's a term. I don't know what it means. Okay, bien. So whenever we ask you to define or tell me about that thing, I don't know what it involves, then we use que.
what? See this in 1, 3, 4, y 9.
So all of these are really a definition or an explanation. And that explanation thing is actually an important thing, right? Because ¿qué te dieron tus padres? What did your parents give you? Is really more an explanation. ¿Qué estás haciendo? What are you doing? That's more an explanation. Yeah. If I'm talking to you on the phone or I walk in the house and the house is like, there's, pardon me, crap everywhere, right? You might go, what are you doing? Yeah. Your grandkids are in and they've just like thrown toys everywhere. ¿Qué están haciendo? What are you kids doing? Right? You want an explanation. What the heck is going on here? Then que works.
We also commonly use it before a noun, such as in 6 and 7.
So these here, ¿qué cosas te hacen reír? What things make you laugh? What house is yours? Literally, which house is yours? But generally speaking, according to the official rule makers, when we have a noun like cosas, when we have a noun like casa, if you have que or cuál Immediately in front of, immediately next to a noun, you should use que. That's the official rule. For this number 7, this is where you'll get some Latin Americans who violate that rule as native speakers, and they put a cuál. So sometimes you'll hear people doing that. And the rule makers are kind of now reconsidering, should we allow that? But the fact is, right, what the rule makers allow you to do, people break rules. So sometimes even native speakers break some of these rules. But technically speaking, que casa es la tuya is proper because casa is a noun. And when I pair it up, right, if I've got the question word right in front of, right next to the noun, it should be que.
Please note, though, that in Latin American Spanish, you
here it
often will hear
comes.
people say cuál or cuáles before noun.
Yeah, okay. So, and a lot of Latin Americans get in a real tiff over what the rule makers allow, even though Latin Americans sit in that body of people who make the rules. But, you know, it's kind of saying to English, people who speak English, not to use a preposition at the end of a question. Yeah. Who are you going with is technically incorrect. With whom are you going? But how many people say with whom are you going versus say, who are you going with? Yeah. So do we break our own rules? Oh, yes, we do that all the time. Well, they do that too, but it depends on what the rule is. Yeah. Okay.
So while in
There you go.
these examples we had, ¿Qué casa es la tuya? Número 7. It's very possible to hear ¿Cuál casa es la tuya? We also use que before an adjective. And this doesn't mean what in any way. It means how. For example, qué buenas son las vacaciones.
And that is an exclamation when you're surprised and you're effervescent about something. Yeah, you're excited about something. Yeah, an exclamation, and you can see it written there. But when somebody speaks it, of course, you don't see the exclamation marks. Qué buenas son las vacaciones. How good vacation is, and vacaciones is never a singular in Spanish. It's always a plural. Qué buenas, how good. So que is in front of an adjective. Buenas. Qué buenas son las vacaciones. ¿Sí? Qué grande está tu nieto. How big your grandkid is. Yeah. Qué bonito es tu nuevo carro. How nice your new car is. Qué atractivo es tu jardín. How attractive your garden or yard is. Yeah. Okay.
How good are vacations? Bien. Now I'll have some sentences for you, and you can choose que or cuál.
Oh,
Pause the
let's see
video
if you
to
can
make
get these right.
more time and check the word bank if you aren't sure about a word.
What do you like to do in the summertime? And the first thing you should always think of as a 50-50, because when you're speaking, you should think the 50-50 rule, right? Not like 7 rules for this and 8 rules for the other, but think of explanations or definitions versus picking out of a group. So think in that 50-50 camp first.
¿Qué te
Cuál.
gusta? ¿Qué te gusta?
I think it's cuál.
Qualis.
You think it's cuál?
I think it's K.
You think it's que?
I
Ooh,
think it's like the opinion
Okay.
thing. The
Okay.
opinion, you've got many choices.
okay.
Is this not sort of the same as like what are your favorite movies?
This is, I'm going to give you a clue. This is not like your favorite movies. Now, I don't have a category of things like movies, books, What day out of the calendar is your birthday? The calendar is a definite pick out of 365 days. Yeah. This is not picking out of a oh, look at you like to do in summertime. Is that an explanation?
No.
Definition. Yeah. A
Yeah.
definition.
Oh,
What thing do you like to do in summer?
Yeah.
What thing?
So
What-
I don't have anything in te gusta hacer en el verano that's a homogeneous group of items.
I see.
Yeah. I don't have a bowl of candy. I haven't got a stack of books. I haven't. Oh, do I? Here's another qualifier that can be used with cuál. Do I have the verb ser? Do I have es or son in there?
No.
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 Okay, so let's see what we got.
Okay.
¿Qué
It's
te
okay.
gusta hacer en el
Okay.
verano?
This is asking you to explain yourself. Okay, bien? It's saying,
Yes.
hey, explain yourself. Not a definition exactly, but an explain yourself. Yeah. ¿Qué te gusta hacer? What do you like to do? Explain yourself. Bien? Okay. It's a different way of thinking, really, rather than a set of rules. They think differently about these things. Okay.
Simply, what do you like to do in the summer? Explanation.
Explanation. Ah, de los dos, of the two. De los dos prefieres manejar o caminar? Of the two, do you prefer driving or walking?
¿Cuál?
Wow.
And why do you think cuál? ¿Por qué?
You're choosing from the group.
You're
Walking-
choosing from
a group of two.
two possible actions or activities. Yeah. So would you choose to grab the keys, hop in the car, or hoof it, right? Walk it.
Sí.
¿Cuál de los dos prefieres? ¿Manejar o caminar?
Es un poquito más obvio. This is a little more obvious if you know that rule of, oh, I'm choosing between two things, right? It's a little more obvious. Here is another clue, ding, 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 ding. This word de.
Mhm.
When it's phrased as cuál de, yeah? ¿Cuál de los dos? ¿Cuál de los tres? ¿Cuál de los cuatro? If you got four things to choose from. ¿Cuál de? ¿Cuál de? ¿Cuál de? De is a great big ding, ding, ding sign that it's going to be cuál. Let me back this up just a little bit. This is still a very natural choice because think about this. This is one of those choices. ¿Qué te gusta hacer? What do you like to do? You've probably heard a combination or a similar question to that. Like in the first few weeks, first few months, you use Spanish a lot. What are you doing? What did he say? What did you see? What do you like? And it's always te gusta. This is one of those almost gut reaction things. It's an explanation. You hear this all the time. You hear this all the time. The cuál de is a combo. Yeah, it'll never be que de los dos. You never hear anybody say que de los dos. Those que de never gets combined, but cuál de does. Okay, so de is a little hangnail that can help you. Okay.
¿Prefieres manejar o caminar? Which of the two do you prefer? To drive or to walk? And because I have of the two, de los dos, it just hints to you that there's a choice. Therefore, cuál is needed.
Ah, es tu color favorito.
¿Cuál?
Okay. Okay.
Ah,
That- oh, now that we got to think about it, it's painful, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow, wow.
I thought favorite color is a
Oh, well,
homogeneous
then it would be
group.
cuál. Yeah, K is your
Wow.
color.
This
favorite.
is going to be the natural thing. Now,
Cuál.
I'm going to give you a little clue here. How could I figure this out? Now, in English, you know what? In English, somebody might, if they've got, and I don't have something to show you here. If somebody had, you know, those little things they give you at the paint store and you can fan it out and it's got a palette of colors.
Mhm.
Yeah. Would it be obvious then
Sí.
that you need cuál?
Sí.
Yeah. Okay. So if I had that little fan from the paint store with a palette of colors, ¿cuál es tu color favorito? Would you probably say, oh, that's obvious because I'm picking out of a group. But you know what? This is the way they always think. ¿Cuál es tu color favorito? Even if you haven't got that little fan it out thing from the paint store with a palette of colors. ¿Cuál es tu color favorito?
Sí.
Out of all the possible colors, colors is a group of things that's considered a homogeneous concept. Yeah. And you're picking, you know, think of it as picking out of a bucket or picking out of that fan of a palette. Yeah. Here's another little clue. ¿Qué es asks for an explanation or a definition, but ¿cuál es asks you to pick something out of a group. Right? If I took the word cuál out of this and asked, ¿qué es tu color favorito? Because I'm thinking in English, what's your favorite color? And ¿qué pops into my brain because I'm thinking, what? ¿Qué es tu color favorito? Sounds off to them. Would they understand what you mean? Yeah. But ¿qué es tu color favorito? Technically, in their way of thinking, means favorite color. I don't know what that phrase means.
Mm.
¿Qué es tu color favorito? Would say to a native Spanish speaker, you don't know the words favorite color, that phrase. I don't know that vocabulary, which doesn't at all mean the same thing as, hey, what's your favorite color? It would mean you didn't know what these words, color favorito, meant. That's the way the mindset is. Okay.
Okay, all the colors, which is your favorite?
¿Quieres hacer mañana? You want to do tomorrow.
K. Now
K.
that's K. ¿Qué quieres hacer? What?
Okay. Why do you think? ¿Por qué?
It's asking you for an explanation. What are you going to do?
Yeah, an explanation. Hey, you know,
Seems like to
give me more details here. Yeah, the ¿qué thing here is give me some more details about this, right? And by the way, it might not just be one thing, right? What do you want to do tomorrow might be talking about a lot of things in your
¿Qué
day.
quieres hacer mañana?
¿Qué quieres? And this is more of a gut reaction. Have you heard this kind of question a bunch of times with ¿qué? Yes, you have. ¿Qué quieres hacer? What do you want to do? ¿Qué quieres comer? What do you want to eat? ¿Qué quieres ver? What do you want to see? What do you want to watch? ¿Qué quieres comprar? What do you want to buy? You've heard this combo. So you know what? I would, when I gave my teenage kids a test, sometimes I'd see them debating because, oh my God, they feel tense. And they got that fill in the blank, just like this, because they're getting quizzed on ¿qué and cuál. And I would point down and I'd say, why did you write this? And the kid would say, I don't know the reason, but it just sounds right. Correcto. Right. You have heard that kind of question 100 times in Spanish 1, in Spanish 2, and by Spanish 3, it's like, oh yeah, I've heard this kind of question before. I don't know the reason, but I've heard it like this. It's my gut reaction. And you're right. You know what? Sometimes you got to go with that. You got to go with that. I know technically it's an explanation, but have you heard somebody phrase that question to you in the 3 years that you've been in my class? 16, 17-year-old kid? And that's why it feels right. It feels right. Go with it.
What
Sometimes
do you
that
want to do
works.
tomorrow? Explanation.
Ah, are your shoes? They're all lined up, right? They're lined up because people came in from the rain, okay? And they were wet. People lined them up to dry out. Are your shoes the red ones or the black ones?
¿Cuáles?
¿Cuáles?
¿Cuáles? Okay, you've got a choice here. And this one is an obvious choice. Es obvio. It's an obvious choice. Los rojos o los negros, the black ones or the red ones or the black ones, right? And cuáles, because es plural, zapatos, okay? And their que would sound really weird to them because that one is a really obvious choice, right? ¿Qué son los zapatos? ¿Qué son tus zapatos? Right? What does zapatos mean? You don't know what zapatos are? Somebody would be confused if you phrase it that way, right? Again, cuál with or cuáles son pairs up to give the choice
¿Cuáles
from
son
a
tus
group.
zapatos? ¿Los rojos o los negros? Which of these shoes are yours? The red ones or the black ones?
Ah, un duende.
Oh, that
And
is K.
Okay.
K.
¿Y por qué? And why do you think that?
Definition. and duende.
Definition. We've got it. Yeah. Duende. Is that a word that you use a lot? That word duende?
No. No.
I don't even use that word duende a lot. I know what it means, but
¿Cuál
Lo
es?
entiendo.
¿Qué es un duende? ¿Qué
Yeah.
es duende?
I think he puts the
¿Qué es un
definition in here.
duende?
Duende is like an elf or a dwarf.
This is the definition.
Oh.
Yeah. Duende, yeah. A little mischievous spirit is a duende, yeah. And so it'll be, I don't know what this word means. ¿Qué es un duende? It'll be like the ¿qué es un qué es una quinceañera? It's the same spirit as that
What is
definition.
dwarf?
But
Yeah,
if you
dwarf.
don't understand a word, can you say KS instead of como se dice
Oh, sí, sí, sí,
in the
sí.
word? Or can you just say K,
Bueno, sí, sí, sí,
KS?
sí. Yeah. If your meaning is to say, ¿cómo se llama esto? What do we call this? Then ¿qué es mix is in the same vein. It's just a different way to phrase that question. Right. If instead of saying ¿qué es, you might say ¿cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? So somebody says, ooh, ¿cómo se llama? What do you call this? Yeah. ¿Cómo se llama? ¿Qué es? What is it? ¿Qué es?
Mhm.
Two different ways using different verbs to ask the same question. But those two are equivalentes, they're equivalents. ¿Cómo se llama? What do you call it? ¿Qué es? What is it? Those two questions are in the same spirit, asking for the same kind of information. Yeah. De todos piensas comprar. Piensas comprar, you think to buy doesn't mean think to buy. Piensa comprar means intend or plan to buy. When we pair up piensas with an infinitive, it means you plan to do something or you intend to do something.
Cuál, because which of these do you think you're going to buy?
Yeah, yes, todos means all. We're looking at some kind of group. If we
Cuál.
say todos, yeah.
Cuál.
Hmm.
¿Cuál de todos piensas?
And the clue here is, again, that little word de. We would never,
Oh.
we would never use que, de next to each other. Que, de are two words that never go together. Cuál de always pair up together.
Which of all of them do you plan on buying? In this case, if we think the answer is more than one, we could also say, ¿Cuáles de todos piensas comprar? Okay, it's saying that.
Oh,
which-
yeah. And cuáles, a plural form could go in there too if you thought somebody was going to buy a whole bunch of something.
of
Okay.
these, more than one
That's
thing.
kind of a
you
side
plan on
note.
buying.
Ah, carro. ¿Te gusta más? Car, do you like more? And there's a definite clue here. And the clue is that carro is a noun.
Mm.
The gimme clue is that carro is a noun. I've got something right next to a noun.
Well, then it's a K.
Okay.
Technically, it should be a que. Are there people in Latin America who will violate that? Yeah. Wait. Oh, isn't that a homogeneous group? And I could
Yes.
pick any brand out of that homogeneous group. It is. And therefore you would think cuál, well, wait, I'm picking out of a group, a thing called cars, and there are a whole bunch of different brands, but technically with the grammar police, yeah, when I am putting them right next to each other, it should be que, but some people will violate that rule.
¿Qué carro te gusta más?
Que carro te gusta más? But you might hear people saying
Which car
cuál.
do you like more? Carro is a noun. So it's
I don't
more
know if he's
common
gonna
have
say
que.
that.
Again, keep in mind that in Latin America,
Right.
you would very easily hear cuál.
So
Cuál.
again, you'll get people violating that. Don't be shocked, but there are people who consider that
Carro
equally
te gusta
fine
más.
to do. Estudian los muchachos en la universidad. The kids study at university.
I think it's qual, many different classes.
Okay.
Wow. Say the most.
Because it's not in front of an adjective or a noun. And you're not,
Ah,
oh, darn it.
it's que. We're looking for an explanation.
Oh.
Now, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. If you weren't overthinking it, because when we get into que and cuál, we start to overthink. This kind of question is a thing that, again, like sometime if you've been studying Spanish for only 2 or 3 months or 4 months or even a half a year, this is going to sound more natural. You've heard a question like this. This is asking for an explanation. I don't have I don't have a group of things to, we're not naming a group of things. I know it's kind of hard. It's an explanation. Yeah.
Go with it.
Go with it. You've heard this kind of question a bunch of times before. ¿Qué estudian? It would also be, if I put in the word clases, I would still use que. ¿Qué clases estudian? Or ¿qué materias would be a better way to phrase that. ¿Qué materias? What subjects? ¿Qué materias estudian los muchachos? ¿Qué materias estudian? Because again, I would have a noun paired up with a que.
Mm.
But now, when would I use cuál? Let's flip our phrasing around a little bit. And this is going to show you how the way the question is phrased might change up whether I use que or cuál. If I rephrased this question and said, which ones of these classes? I'm pointing at a list of classes. Maybe there's a list. And I said, ¿Cuál de estas clases
Cuál day.
¿Cuál de las clases estudian? ¿O cuál de las materias estudian los muchachos en la universidad? ¿O cuáles de las materias? ¿Cuáles de? I could rephrase that question. And if I rephrase it with de, because now I'm saying, hey, which things on this list of possible classes for freshman people in uni? Yeah, universidad. So it depends a little bit on how you phrase it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Somebody might phrase it a different way, but this is the gut reaction. I've heard this kind of thing because I learned the word que, right? Que estudian los muchachos. So when we're going to take a look at this piece a little when we finish the video and see when we use this kind of thing with que a lot.
What do the boys study in college? Okay, it's an explanation. Bien. Now I'll give you some sentences in English and have you translate it into Spanish. Make sure to pause the video if you need more time and check the word bank if you aren't sure about a word. What time is it?
Gut reaction. How'd you first learn to say that?
¿Qué hora?
¿Qué hora es?
Que hora es? Que hora es? And when you pick it apart, like the grammar police, hora is a noun. Okay, hora, they're right next to each other. Que hora es? I'm not asking you to define or anything, but que hora es? Que hora es?
Because hora is a noun. Que hora es?
Yeah, que hora es? I know you're at, well, yeah, hora is a noun. And nobody ever phrases that, do they? ¿Cuál? Maybe, but usually it's que hora es? Que hora es? Okay.
What
Bien.
do you like to eat?
What do you like to eat? Let's look at you like to eat. Te gusta comer, right? Te gusta comer. What do you like to eat?
So it's que te gusta comer? ¿Qué te gusta comer?
¿Qué te gusta comer?
Yeah.
Which do you prefer? Guitar or drums?
And prefieres is the verb you need. Prefieres. Do you prefer?
¿Cuál prefiere?
¿Cuál prefieres? ¿La guitarra o la batería? I think he's going to use.
¿Cuál prefieres?
Yeah,
¿La
batería.
guitarra o la batería?
Bien. Okay. Es más obvio. It's more obvious because it's a choice there. You've
Which
got
type
two
of
items.
car would you like to have?
Which type? The word type is tipo. Tipo.
¿Qué tipo
¿Qué
de carro?
tipo de carro?
Yeah, it's a noun. ¿Qué tipo?
¿Qué
¿Qué
tipo?
tipo de carro te gustaría tener?
¿Qué tipo de carro te gustaría tener? And the gustaría is the would like. It's a hypothetical verb form. ¿Qué te gustaría tener?
What are your most boring classes?
What are your most boring classes? Out of all the classes you've got, which ones are yawners? Which for a 15-year-old, they would say, oh, todas, all of them. Yeah, thank you. Gracias, kids.
¿Cuáles son?
¿Cuáles son?
¿Cuáles son tus clases?
¿Cuáles son tus clases? Sí, ¿cuáles son? ¿Cuáles son? So where in English, we generally say, what are? We're not asking you to define, I don't know what this word means. We're asking you to pick out of the group of all your classes, okay? That one might be a little more obvious. Más obvio.
What is that?
What is that?
¿Qué es eso?
¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es eso?
This is a gut reaction.
¿Qué es eso?
Okay, this is a gut reaction, right? ¿Qué es eso? When you don't know what that thing is, or you don't know the word, yeah.
Possibly. ¿Qué es aquello?
Possibly, but it'll probably be eso.
how boring that class was.
Ah, and this is a description.
Que aburrida.
Que aburrida.
Qué aburrida estuvo la clase. Notice that in English, this translation is a little bit weird, but
Yeah.
this is a very common type of construction in Spanish. What is your favorite team?
Oh, what's your favorite team?
¿Cuál es?
¿Cuál es
¿Cuáles? ¿Cuáles?
¿Cuáles? ¿Cuáles? And y por qué?
Equipo
Why
favorito.
cuáles? Because there are only a certain number of teams, right? To choose. Which one is? We would say which one is if you're picking out of the hopper of all the many types of teams, right?
¿Cuál
¿Cuál
es
es?
tu equipo favorito?
You're picking out of a group there.
Which one of you washed the dishes?
Ah,
Ooh.
Mm.
now I'll be honest. I would say quién. I would say quién.
That's what, ¿quién?
¿Quién lavó? ¿Quién lavó los platos? I would add, I mean, that was what I would say. ¿Quién lavó los platos? Okay, but he's
¿Cuál
phrasing
de
it.
ustedes lavó los trastes?
Okay, so ¿cuál de ustedes? Which one of you guys? Let's say they're all your kids and their teenage friends or whoever. Yeah. Okay. ¿Cuál de ustedes? Could you say ¿quién lavó? Sí. ¿Quién lavó? That would work too. Trastes dishes,
Muy
dirty
bien. I hope
dishes.
that you have a
Okay.
better.
Bien. Okay. Vale. Eso es. Okay. Let's take a look at some things that should be when you're making those choices, a gut reaction. Momentito. Hang on. I've got to take my.
Could we say generally that K is more often than cuál? I mean, just in general.
Here's what I'm going to say. Es buena pregunta. That's a good question. I'm going to say it this way. The difficulty comes up because there's some things which typically in English would never use which, but do in Spanish. Okay. So let's look at some typical things that typically wind up being that cuál. And wow, ¿cuál es tu cumpleaños?
Oh. Not when, but what?
Yeah, which one is, yeah, ¿cuál es tu cumpleaños? Yeah. Because ¿qué es tu cumpleaños? Doesn't make, it means I don't know what that word cumpleaños means. Cumpleaños is one day out of 365, maybe once every 4 years, 366. Cumpleaños can only be one out of a set number of things. 365 of them.
I
They
couldn't
think-
quite leave this one though, because Diane just asked the question I was thinking, why not cuándo?
You could say cuando, sí, es posible, sí, es posible. That's possible too. Okay. ¿Cuál es la fecha?
Oh,
We say, what's the date?
8. Yeah.
They never say that as ¿qué es la fecha? So here are things you'll always hear with cuál.
Sí.
¿Cuál es la fecha? See? Things like that. But now let's think of some situations, and this is going more, Diana, to the idea of, is K just more common? Well, okay. Yes. So, por ejemplo, this is falling into the explain yourself category. ¿Qué vas a hacer a las 5?
Sí.
¿Qué vas a hacer a las 5? Hey, what are you
gonna do
doing at 5
o'clock?
o'clock?
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing that when you first learn what that word que is, this is the type of typical question that you heard somebody use in practice. ¿Qué vas a hacer a las 5? Like. ¿Qué cocinas hoy?
Mm,
¿Qué cocinas hoy? What are you?
Cooking.
Okay.
Was it ever natural for somebody to say, ¿Cuál cocinas hoy?
No.
No. Now, I'm going to tell you, part of this is visual. If somebody has a grocery bag and they pull out of their grocery bag un pollo, a chicken, a salmon, a salmon, hamburguesa, hamburg, and they lay them all on the counter. This is context. They pulled all those things out of their bag. A hunk of hamburger, a slab of salmon, and a chicken, a whole chicken. Might somebody be able to phrase that as ¿Cuál cocinas hoy?
Sí.
Sí.
Might that make sense? It might make sense because you're picking out of 3 things that you visually see. But how do people always ask that question? If they haven't got that kind of visual clue, how do they always ask this question? ¿Qué cocinas hoy? That's what you ask. What are you cooking today? ¿Qué cocinas hoy? Okay.
Galletas.
¿Qué ¿qué ves en la tele?
Mm,
¿Qué ves en la tele? What are you watching on
On TV. See?
TV?
Yeah.
This is the kind of like knee-jerk reaction way we use que all the time. And these are all explain yourself questions. These are all tell me what's going on. There's no question of I don't understand the vocabulary you used. Yeah. ¿Qué estás leyendo?
What are you reading?
Somebody sees you with something open in front of your face. Somebody sees you,
reading? What
somebody-
Are you reading?
sees you doing this.
What are you reading?
The way you're going to phrase that is just, ¿qué estás leyendo? What are you reading? Not which book is your favorite. No. Right? And just the what are you doing questions. Por ejemplo, ¿qué estudias ahora? ¿Qué estudias ahora? What are you studying now? See?
Yeah.
Okay. All these kinds of questions are the things that, Diana, they're kind of connected to what you asked. Is it more common? Yeah, in a way, I guess I would have to say so, because anytime we're asking somebody to tell me, hey, explain what's going on in your life right now, those kinds of questions use que.
Yeah.
Yeah. ¿Está bien? Is that good?
Sí.
Sí, sí, gracias.
You can overthink this, but here's what you cannot overthink. Que de is never a combination. Que de. See? So, ¿cuál de los libros de español es el mejor? ¿Cuál de los libros? ¿Cuál de los libros de español? Which ones of the Spanish books are the best?
Sí.
¿Cuál de? ¿Cuál de? How it's phrased matters. See? ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto?
Mhm.
Right? I don't know what this is.
See?
Es un celular. Ay, qué estúpida mujer. Es una celular. Es un celular. Pero, ¿cuál es la mejor marca de celular? ¿Cuál es la mejor marca? Which is the best
The best brand.
brand?
Yeah.
¿Cuál es la mejor marca de celular? ¿Cuál es? ¿Cuál es la mejor marca? Which is the best brand? Or I could just say, ¿cuál es el mejor celular? Which is the best cell phone? ¿Sí? ¿Cuál es? So, ¿cuál es when I'm asking you to pick something out of a group? Pero, ¿qué es esto? Means I don't know what this gadget is. Maybe somebody who's 100 years old doesn't know what it is. No sé. Pero, es así. It's kind of like that. ¿Bien? ¿Sí? Eso es. Ok. A ver. Bien, bien, bien. Nos queda un minuto. We got about one. Okay. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do for the coming week. I want you to maybe think of maybe think of some typical, like 2 questions you could make up with K and 2 with cuál. I'm going to send you a website that shows you some. I think it might have a little quiz at the end. So this will be kind of a follow-up on what we've done today, but that's probably all I'm going to do with that. And I want you to bring for next week is our no tengo, see, because this is not official yet. This isn't official. Yeah, next week is technically the last week of spring session. I want you guys to bring something for show and tell. And I want us to do a little guessing game. I want you to bring something. Don't show it on screen yet, but think of a way to describe it. So you're going to have 2 things. Do a little couple examples using K, like make up some questions and something that you would typically ask people, like at a store or friends or neighbors or at a party or something like that. Okay. Or talking about the news, lo que sea, whatever it might be. So think of 2 questions using cuál and 2 using K. Make some examples up and bring an item, describe the item. You might talk about how it is used, what color it is, if that's important, where you use it, or what time of day you use it. But leave the most telling clue. The one that this gives it away for the end. Bien?
See?
Vale? Okay. So this forces you to think strategically a little bit. Okay. Vale. And I
Gracias.
will get you I think I've already got the actually I switched the listening video for this week because a brand new one came up today that I thought, what a good video. ¡Qué buen video! ¡Qué buen! ¡Qué magnífico video! So a new one came up and I last minute changed my mind about which one you're getting for this coming week. Just a storytelling video. It'll use a lot of past in it and it'll mix some past and present up. Bien? Okay? ¿Todo bien? All good?
Gracias.
Gracias.
Magnífico. Okay.
Gracias.
Está bien. De nada. Es un placer. Y nos vemos, el próximo miércoles. Ok, bien. Hasta luego.
Gracias.
De nada.